So, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a great week and hopefully you're almost finished your week by now. And of course, the Christmas break is almost here. So, we've only a week to go. It's within our grasp, and every one of us is looking forward to, I'm sure, a well-deserved break. So, I have joined you starting yesterday for a three-part LinkedIn Live series where I'm helping you to understand three key elements of how you can navigate your career and leadership success into 2024, taking into consideration the current challenges and the challenges that will present with us in 2024. So really, really important, as I mentioned yesterday, that we stay relevant in our career, in our leadership, within our business and within the organization that we're in, within the marketplace, if we really want to be proactive about thriving in our careers. And when we do it in this way, everything just feels so much better. We feel more in control, and therefore we can take on those opportunities that come our way because we're ready for it, right? So over the next 2 days, I started yesterday on the first element. Today I'm going to talk about the second element, and then on Monday I'm going to talk about the third element. So this is all based on my RX3 leadership development model, which I'll talk about in a moment. I'll give you a brief introduction on that just in case you missed yesterday. But if you missed yesterday, go into my profile and you'll find it's actually saved, the video saved up there from yesterday, so you can look at that. So what I wanted to do was bring you 3 15-minute short videos to help you to get prepared for the new year, because of course it's almost here. We're getting into the Christmas break, and it's really important to feel that you're in control. You've had a chance to think about and reflect on the year that's passed, and also plan into the new year, because as we know, we'll be into January and it'll be the end of January before we realize it, into February, and we don't want to feel like we're on the back foot before we ever get started. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anne Caulfield. I am an accredited executive and leadership coach, and I support individuals and teams to elevate from high potential to high performance, to progress in their career and leadership, and also to help individuals to really step forward into the next level of their career, of their leadership, so that they can have a positive impact, which will ripple out in their own career, to ripple out to their teams and also the business. So really, really area that I love to be part of, and I love supporting teams and individuals to do that. So to get into today, I want to introduce to you the RX3 leadership development model. So really quickly, for those who are not joining me yesterday, the RX3 leadership development model was developed and is being continuously updated to stay relevant to the changing work environment we find ourselves in. So this is a model that I developed based on my experience as a corporate professional in global roles over 20 years, as well as my experience since then coaching individuals and teams from manager to C-suite for the last 8 years since I set up my coaching and consulting practice. So this RX3 model I developed over this time is the backdrop to my leadership and career development programs, whether that's one-to-one or team coaching. So what I want to introduce to you over these few days, in these very small snippets, is what are the 3 elements of that model that you actually are going to help you to navigate and thrive in your career in 2024. Obviously, there's a whole load of content and understanding that goes behind these 3 elements. But I just want to introduce them to you today, because just by being aware of what they are will get you thinking about how you actually need to start being proactive as you step into 2024. But of course, in order to be able to do that, you need to really reflect on those now before we get into that new year. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today. And I want you to understand how working through these different areas will have a ripple effect for not just on yourself and your career progression and your career trajectory, but also the effect it has on your team and within your organization. Again, as I said, I have applied this many times over with individuals and with teams, and seeing the evidence of that ripple effect is just so rewarding for me, obviously, to be able to make that difference, but also for the individuals and the teams themselves, seeing the difference it makes, because everything that I do is all around removing overwhelm and introducing simplicity to what we're doing, right? There's huge amount of complexity out there, which creates a huge amount of overwhelm. So I'm very much in the space of simplifying what you need to know in order to take the intentional steps to progress to where you want to be. It's as simple as that, right? So obviously behind that is a huge amount of research and training and everything else that I've done and my own experience and all of that. But how I like to deliver this is in a way that you can really just catch it, take it away, work it, see the results, and move on from there. Okay. So today I'm going to share some insights on the second R of the RX3 model. And the second R of the RX3 model is all around being resilient. So again, you can go back to yesterday to find out what the first R was. Again, there's a 15-minute journey there. We traveled through a 15-minute snippet on that, what that is about. But today I'm going to be talking about the importance of being resilient and what this really means in relation to how you could take some intentional actions to articulate your value and really stay connected with the business needs and the market needs into 2024 so you stay relevant and resilient in your career and in your leadership. Again, as I say, the ripple effect goes well beyond you. So if this makes sense to you and you recognize, yes, this is something you might be interested in, join me here now for the next up to 15 minutes, and I would love to share with you some key insights to take away on that. So I suppose the key thing here is that there's so much information out there to consume on all of the leadership development, career development. There's so much out there that we get overwhelmed. And, when we get overwhelmed, we don't take action. And the problem with that is that we don't make the progress we want, right? But the thing is, action brings clarity, and we want to be able to understand what actions can you take. And those actions that you start to take will bring you the clarity to make sure you're part of the right conversations, that you're in the right places, you're connected with the right individuals so that you can provide your value where it's best placed to bring the results you want for your team, business, marketplace, and all of that, right? So again, yesterday, I did share a little bit of context around the backdrop of why this is really important, actually, as you step into 24. But I don't want to go over that all over again for those of you who have watched yesterday's LinkedIn Live. But just to briefly touch on this, and that's around the challenges and the opportunities that we're navigating as we go into 2024 and being very aware of what they are so that you can take those intentional proactive steps. We don't want to be in a reactive mode, because when we're reactive, we're not coming from a place of power where we can actually take control over what we want to do next. It's very much reactive. So we want to be proactive. And some of those challenges we're presented with, and for some of these, you can see these as opportunities, but nonetheless, we need to be able to look at them from a balanced perspective, is in relation to, first of all, for example, navigating a hybrid and remote work environment. And with this continuing trend, we want to be able to understand how do we effectively manage ourselves to ensure we have, the connections, the visibility, the networks, articulating our value. How do we work that with our teams, with the business, all of that? How do we navigate that? The other one then is around, emphasizing communication and emotional intelligence as being extremely important as automation takes over the routine tasks, where skills like, as I said, EQ, emotional intelligence, creativity, problem solving, interpersonal communication is becoming of increasingly valuable importance for us. So important. Of course, managing the work-life balance as the lines between work and our personal lives gets blurred with more working from home and all of the rest that comes with that. And of course, the economic uncertainties that we face right now. And with that, there is, with our global economic situation, professionals and leaders are facing a lot of challenges, and you're facing a lot of challenges related to job security, budget constraints, and many other things. For example, budget constraints, we need to do a lot more with fewer resources. How do we manage and how do we navigate that as an individual, and then replicate that out onto our team and into the business? And with all of that, we need to be able to make sure that we're articulating our value, we're staying relevant, we're repositioning ourselves in our careers, within our roles. So it doesn't mean you have to change roles, but like, how am I continuously repositioning myself so that I can stay relevant, and so that I can build a brand where people know the value I offer? What is my unique value proposition? It's so, so important that you understand what that is and you articulate that to others so they know where your value comes in. So a lot of elements and a lot of things that we need to navigate into 2024. So there are 3 core elements of the RX3 model that I use to help people to best position themselves in midst of all of this, to make sure you are going to be proactive in excelling forward and thriving in your career and leadership. So the topic I want to talk briefly about today is about resilience and building resilience in your career. So while it's very important to make sure that we stay relevant and we reposition ourselves in our career, we also need to understand, how do we stay resilient to the changes, to the environment that we find ourselves in, the economic environment, the changing business needs. If you're in a business that is growing significantly, how are you staying resilient to what's happening around you? And how are you repositioning? How are you dealing with what everybody's thinking about this, what everybody's feeling, how they're reacting, how people are behaving? There's lots of different dynamics. And a lot of this can actually throw us off kilter if we don't know how to manage it and have a strategy and a model around how we can actually manage the emotions of ourselves, of people around us. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in, right? And emotional intelligence is the key differentiating factor for successful leadership today. Okay, it is the key differentiating factor for successful leadership today. And we need to be able to understand how we can continuously grow our emotional intelligence, because the thing is, emotional intelligence, emotions behind everything we do. Like everything we do, there is emotional intelligence, right? There are emotions behind that. So we need to understand, how intelligent am I? How intelligent are you with your emotions? And that is going to be the differentiator between, taking some really clear, directed action that's going to bring positive impact, or maybe taking an action that probably isn't as balanced as you'd like it to be. And there's a few elements there that we need to be making sure that we're bringing our best, so that we're not allowing, ourselves to build stress in our environment, either for ourselves or for others, but also not to allow the stress maybe in the environment we find ourselves to encroach on us and impact our performance and results. So with that, there's a huge value, and it's extremely important in career advancement, is emotional intelligence. So we need to develop a sense of awareness around, our own personal development, and understanding our own strengths, weaknesses, what our motivators are, and being aware of all of those elements of how our emotions are impacting our judgments and decisions. And then we need to understand, how can we regulate that? So how can we regulate that so that we are doing the best we can do? And then there are a load of other elements that come into that. And as an emotional intelligence coach, I bring a huge amount of that into my coaching with individuals and teams, is understanding emotional intelligence, how you can build emotional intelligence, how you can really be the guiding light within your environment during, what can be sometimes very stressful environments with all that's happening in the world right now, but also supporting others to be resilient. So really, really important. And the other side of this is having that growth mindset, right? So having built, and we'll never be finished, in building our emotional intelligence all of the time, is helping us to grow our mindset, be in a growth mindset, and embrace challenges, learn, and be able to overcome is what would have been probably seen before by us as insurmountable challenges. They become easier, helping us to persist and face challenges in front of us, being able to overcome setbacks. And really, really important to understand how we manage all this. So there's a huge, huge element of this, which is really, really important. So I suppose the important thing to think here in regards to resilience is, the one key point I want to raise your attention on is, how are you developing your emotional intelligence? How are you developing your resilience in the environment you're in right now? Because when you get to really understand where you're at, how you can develop that, it actually makes the environment which you're surrounded in much easier to navigate. And as an individual, that's an extremely fantastic place to be in. But also it gives you that sense of control over the environment that you find yourself in. But also what it does, it helps you to help your team to be more resilient, right? So you can help your team to be more resilient. And of course, when you're more resilient, that's going to have a really positive impact for, the team and also the business as well, right? So really, really important that we're building that resilience. So emotional intelligence and growth mindset are complementary forces in career advancement, and cultivating both of these can lead to more effective leadership, improved job performance, higher personal and professional satisfaction for yourself in your career. So as you're repositioning and staying relevant all the time in your current role or in your area of expertise, also building that emotional intelligence is extremely important. And this is a whole area that I really focus on with my clients, be it individuals or within teams, and it makes an absolutely huge difference, right? But what I always say, going back to what I said at the beginning, it's all about keep it simple for yourself so that you do take the action, right? So really simplifying. So what I do is I very much focus on simplified intentional actions to help people with the techniques to build on this. Again, overwhelm stops us taking so many actions. So we don't want to be able to move past that. So what I'd ask you to do as the end of today's session and is all, I suppose, thinking about how resilient are you right now? How are your emotions impacting how you show up every day in your role? And how are the emotions of people around you impacting your actions, your judgments, and your decisions? So really understanding how resilient are you, and maybe thinking about, okay, well, what's happening around you or within yourself? How is that impacting your performance and your results and their teams? And how are you able to manage that, right? So just doing that level of reflection will be really important because it will raise your attention to that point. So the other thing that I want to mention to you today before I finish, and I did mention this yesterday as well, because I do get a lot of questions around how you can actually go about making this happen. And while I share a lot of insights, it's the what you need to do, but how you actually go about doing it is slightly different. So one thing that is coming up for January, right? And I'm actually launching it right now. I'm enrolling it now, is my Elevate Mastermind that is starting in January. So this is a mastermind that I developed a few years ago. I started running a mastermind a few years ago. And it's based on the RX3 model that I shared with you, my leadership development model that I use and have developed, and helping people to take the actions they need to take to progress in a very, intentional way. Right. So very focused, very intentional way, not overwhelming at all. But it's really accelerates people's path to progressing in their leadership, in their career, and brings that sense of control and support. So this mastermind is made up of a group of individuals. I cap it at a certain number. So we have people from diverse different professions and industries. It's a very refreshing environment. I've been running this for a few years. I run about 2 years because obviously they're 6 months long. But always, I suppose with this type of mastermind, it's so refreshing for individuals to be surrounded by others from different industries, getting fresh perspectives and ideas. So the mastermind is one with a number of different topics we run through over that 6 months. But what's really, really important here is that you understand that, this mastermind is for you if you're looking to enhance your career or leadership progression, reposition yourself, maybe in your current role and where you're going. So if you're an aspiring senior leader or you're an excelling senior leader, you're already there. So aspiring, you could be a senior manager or above, or if you're an excelling senior leader, you could already be in a senior lead position. We've people in these masterminds up to now who are from senior manager right up to senior director. So wherever you are within that space, this is definitely going to be relevant for you. Also, it's going to be for you if you're looking to basically look for different perspectives, look for different views and ideas on maybe where you're at right now, because sometimes we can get very institutionalized where we are, and it's important for us to get different ideas, different perspectives, and all of the rest. So what I will be doing with you, if you're going to be joining this mastermind, is using the RX3 leadership development strategy, which you will have access to all of the resources, videos, and everything on that strategy on a portal that you'll have access to. But that's just the background piece. What we will be doing is we will be having group calls where we discuss topics. I present specific information on topics I want you to focus on each month. And then we get the opportunity to think about that. And then we come back together and we discuss these topics. So it's really, really enriching to discuss these topics, get to change our perspectives, think about different ideas. But the community part of it is really, really always very valuable for people because they love being able to see different perspectives, but it's really inspiring to see how people contribute, giving value to others within the group, giving different ideas of maybe they've shared a similar experience to you and your career or leadership progression that you find yourself in right now. And of course, people taking lots of value from it as well. It's really, really wonderful environment. So if you'd like to find out more about that, and we can see if it is the right fit for you where you're at right now, drop me a message, and I'd certainly love to share more details with you about that. And I suppose the benefits of joining there's many different benefits, but I suppose one of the things that I was speaking about yesterday was around, career repositioning, staying relevant in your career all the time, like always adjusting, making sure that the value you bring is actually connected to the business needs and making sure that you're connected to that, you're staying relevant all the time to make sure you're being proactive. So one of the things that we will be doing is around learning strategies to effectively reposition yourself and your progress in your career. There's many other areas that we'll be discussing around building and articulating your career value and career story. We will be talking about enhanced visibility when we find ourselves more so now than ever in a remote and or a hybrid work environment. How can you increase your visibility to the organization and marketplace by effectively articulating that value, understanding your unique value proposition? And emotional intelligence growth is another big area, right? So developing emotional intelligence for better interpersonal skills to be able to communicate more effectively is so important. It's going to be such a valuable asset for you. How you also want to be able to build advocates. How can you do that? How can you learn to build and nurture a network of advocates to support you in your career? And again, a lot of these topics are areas that people know that they should be working on, but it's the overwhelm of how do we even start? And then there's so many resources. So this is very much, over this 6-month period, we'll be touching on these topics discreetly. We will be very much looking at what you actually need to do, like the actions that will actually move things forward for you. That's very much the focus of this. And many other areas that I won't get to talk about today. So again, if you're interested, drop me a message. I'd love to share that with you. So before I end today, I want to just remind you of today's topic, which is all about resilience. So take some time today, if you can, maybe after this session here now, to, jot some notes around, okay, well, how resilient have you been? Because resilience is a huge important element of career advancement and leadership development, and leadership advancement. You need to be resilient in the face of adversity. That, there's a lot of change happening out there. And there's different ways we can actually do that. But for the purpose of today is just to take stock. Where are you at? How are you getting on with that? What's worked really well for you? What it maybe has not? And look into 2024 and decide how you may need to adapt that in order for you to continue to be successful, to manage the busy environment, to manage the stressful environment we're surrounded with, so you can proceed with poise and presence. And that ripple effect will go out to your team and the organization. So thank you again for joining me today. I will be back here on Monday for the third part of this 3-part series to share with you the final element. And again, share with me your thoughts and ideas, your experience of what the topic I've discussed with you today, either in the comments below or send me a message, and I'd love to continue the conversation with you there as well. So have a lovely evening, and we'll chat to you all very soon. Take care. Bye for now.